Choosing a Life by ginnyrules27. Time passed, and soon all of the godlings found themselves on Olympus for a much-needed get-together. Well, rather, the female godlings were enjoying the get-together. Herky and Haddie had made themselves scarce upon finding out that a majority of the talk was going to be focused on kids or pregnancy, much to the amusement of Melody, who'd joined in the get-together. Sooner or later, they're going to be having talks like this, but with their own partners. Melody snorted. Hey, don't be making my brother grow up before he has to. Mal said, rubbing her stomach as the baby kicked. Though I'd be happy if Haddie would finally get his act together and realise he's got feelings for Alexandria. Sooner rather than later. I'd rather my brother not be the next Harry and Uma, thank you. Oi! Uma exclaimed. Was anything she said false? Macaria asked as she passed around one of the plates that had been prepared. Sorry, Al, I know you're not big on sushi, but it was the first plate I grabbed. There's more in the kitchen. It's fine, Macaria, Al said. You've got 2 kids under 3 yourself. I'm honestly surprised you were able to put this spread together before our get-together today. Thank Gil, Macaria said. He loves Gwen and Marcos, and his sisters are always there if we need the night to ourselves. Though, Mal, Uma, I've got to say your crewmate Derek is also rather good with kids. Considering he helped Henry with Ryan for as long as we can remember, he should be. Uma chuckled. Let me guess. He comes whenever Piper babysits? Like clockwork. Though we have to make sure to use the House of Olympus since, well, no mortals in Olympus. Macaria nodded, and the 2 former pirates smiled. It had been an unexpected pairing, especially since Derek was another perpetually single pirate. Not to the extent that Henry had been. Derek still had a few flings here and there, but for the most part, he was more monk than pirate. And then he met Gil's oldest sister. Yeah, I won't lie. It was nice having an invitation to that wedding last year. Mal thought with an inward chuckle. No one doubted that Derek would pick both Ryan and Henry as his best men. After all, Henry had picked Ryan and Derek for his. Oh, I'll pass, Uma said as Macaria passed her the plate, pulling Mal out of her thoughts. Oh, sorry, Uma. Macaria's face flushing with embarrassment. I should have known, since you're Uncle Popo's granddaughter. Oh, well, that has nothing to do with why I'm passing the food, Uma said. I grew up eating fish, after all, but at my mama's restaurant. No, I'm passing because sushi's apparently bad for the baby. Which you'd think you'd know, Macaria, seeing as you had 2 of them. Everyone paused and looked at Uma. Uma? What baby are you talking about? Melody asked. Mine. The silence that had fallen only grew after that, and everyone stared at Uma in shock. What? Mal exclaimed. Her getting pregnant was one thing. The kingdom needed an heir after all. But Uma? Uma chuckled softly and gave Mal a small smile. I think you heard me perfectly, Mally. Looks like we won't be the only cousins in the family who have to grow up together. With you having your little guppy. Mal smiled and got up to give Uma a hug. Congrats, Uma. I'm so happy for you and Harry. Hang on, does Harry even know yet? Did he faint? Uma chuckled again and shook her head. Harry doesn't faint. Though he looked close, I won't lie. I'm not surprised. After all, you are the granddaughter of a god, Mal said with a smile. That does get people close to fainting, Macaria nodded. Gil nearly passed out when I told him I was pregnant with Gwen. And then again with Marcos. I think that's more because you apparently inherited your grandfather's fertility, Elle said, shaking her head. Your kids are like 10 months apart, after all. Uma rolled her eyes at the conversation and looked over at Mal. You're the daughter of a god. Did Benny faint when you told him? Ben's not much of a fainter, Mal said with a small chuckle. Nothing really rattles him. Thankfully, Dad only gave him a light glare when we told the family, and only lasted like 30 seconds, which is pretty tame for Dad.
Yeah, well, Uncle Hades gets to be a grandfather now. He's caught up to Zeus and grandfather, Uma teased.
Good point, but enough about me and my pup. How are you feeling? Do you need some ginger ale? It helps with the nausea, I can tell you that. Wait, knowing that you're pregnant, I'm surprised Harry didn't insist on joining you here.
Mal, calm down. I'm actually fine. No morning sickness or anything other than maybe a small bout of it on my last trading route. But I just thought that was seasickness. Which actually worried Harry a bit after we found out because of how bad your morning sickness has been. But the doctor said that every woman is different. And Harry tried to follow me here, but I told him that if he did, he'd be sleeping with Estelle for a week.
Mal chuckled. You know Estelle usually sleeps with me, right? I'm sure your husband would rather sleep with his wife than me and my dog.
I know. But I needed a good enough threat to get him to back off for a bit. The squidling's only like the size of a grain of sand, give or take, right now, and Harry's already in dad mode, as it's called around here, Uma said with a fond sigh.
Yeah, well, Harry might be a bit more protective than the guys around here, Mal said, her voice gentle. What with everything we grew up with, you gotta give him at least a bit of leeway, cuz.
I know, Mally, Uma said with a small sigh. That's why I haven't sent any tidal waves at him yet. But I make no guarantees that it won't happen if he doesn't stop with the overprotective act.
Mal couldn't help the small smile that graced her lips as she heard that. Ah, Harry. Well, anyway, Uma, congrats, Macaria said, grinning at her cousin.
Thanks, Macaria,
Uma replied. Does Uncle Popo know yet?
No, not yet, Uma said, shaking her head. Obviously Harry needed to be the first, and then you all. I'll tell him soon, though.
Any idea for due dates? Melody asked.
Nothing set in stone, but the doctor said we'll be looking at the beginning of December. It's possible that CJ will have a birthday buddy.
Alright, her birthday's December 5th, right? Mal said, and Uma nodded. CJ'll love having a niece or nephew who's a birthday buddy, Melody said, her smile never dimming. Or, you never know, they might want to wait and your kiddo will share a birthday with Percy and Maddie.
Thanks, but I'd rather not be pregnant for an extra month, Uma snorted in amusement.
Elle shook her head. I don't know how Emma's going to do the full 9 months. Thank God for the shorter gestational period for godlings. When's your due date again? Melody asked her sister. Middle of June. Ah, and Emma's due date is August, according to her Shaggy. Mal chuckled and rubbed her stomach. Guess you're getting your own crew, huh, pup? And hey, you'll be the oldest of your crew this time, since your birthday's going to be in May. Not like your mammal. What with your Uncle Jay being a year older, and your Aunt Uma being born in March, and your Uncle Harry being born in April.
I'll say this, if only to cut into Mal's insanity. My guppy might not have been planned, but they're not unwelcomed, Uma said with a small smile. My only concern is the trade routes that my ship takes. They're commissioned by Benny, so I know they won't be dangerous, but I don't know if I should be away from Harry that long. If I give birth on the ship...
I'll talk to Ben for you, Mal promised. Apparently in Oridon, they have something called maternity and paternity leave.
Really? On the Isle, women just worked until they gave birth.
Yeah, well, you're not doing that here, Macaria said firmly, being pampered like all us mums and mums-to-be.
Uma chuckled. I don't do pampering, Macaria. You know that. Though I think Harry does. After he got over the shock of me being pregnant, he rushed online to start ordering baby things.
Aww, Macaria smiled. Reminds me of Gil in a way. Yeah, well, I doubt Gil was trying to style your baby's room to fit that of a future captain/first mate, Mal said with a grin.
Well, of course, Uma grinned. Can't have your little guppy being without a partner in crime, now can we?
I think the world just shivered in fear as they heard that. If our kids are anything like we were.
Mal said, "Oh, there's nothing wrong with our guppies being like us," Uma told her. "But anyway, I didn't mean to make this whole thing about me."
Uma, it's fine. You had some exciting news that you wanted to share. She's right, Uma. Macaria nodded. It's fine. But is there anything you would like to eat? Since I don't think you should eat the sushi. Or the pate, now I think about it. And you should eat, cuz. Especially now that you've got your guppy. Mouse added with a small smile and a nod. And hey, you've got a ready excuse with your pregnancy cravings. What would you like?
Well, what do I have to choose from? Uma asked.
Well, let's have a look. Since we've already got 2 pregnant women here, we're well equipped with avocados on crackers, nuts, both on their own and in the Greek salad. Ooh, Dad sent his chicken. Anything sounding good?
Uncle Hades' chicken! Gimme!
Macarius nodded. I kind of figured you and Mal would lay claim to those. Even if I did sneak a piece, and you're right, it is good. Dad's cooking always is, Mal said with a smile, as she pulled out her phone. She had a surrogate brother to text and congratulate. Congrats, Papa! Next time I see you in person, I need to give you a big hug. MBLB.
I told you I take it. No hug necessary, Mally, but thanks. Smiling face. HH.
Yeah, she told us, and you're getting that hug. Smiley face. Uma said you were already looking for baby stuff, huh? MBLB.
Well, yeah, she's a godling after all. It's not like we'll have the normal amount of time to have everything. HH.
Let me know if you need company. Ben keeps saying he wants to go shopping for baby things, but I keep holding him back until we know whether or not the pup's a boy or a girl. MBLB.
Thanks. That's a good point. Then again, boy or girl, our little guppy will probably be wearing teal or blue or red anyway.
HH. No worries, and I know the feeling. Boy or girl, they'll be starting out in a lot of purple or blue until they're old enough to pick out their own colours. MBLB.
We're both lucky in a way. All our colours can be considered gender neutral.
HH. Very true. So are Jay and Lonnie's colours if Jay ever decides to stop dragging his feet and propose to have a kid with Lonnie. MBLB.
True. Jay's got orange, I think. And what's Lonnie's colour? HH.
Yeah, Jay's got orange, and Lonnie's got red, I think. She was wearing a reddish-pink sweatshirt when she found Carlos, Jay, and me in the kitchens before Ben's coronation. MBLB.
Ah, right. Red's very popular, it seems.
HH. Yeah, it is. But getting back on topic, I haven't heard anything from Jay about whether or not Lonnie wants kids. He's still out on the pro tourney field after all, and she's on the pro raw circuit. Not a lot of time together there. MBLB.
Well, they've got off-seasons and bye weeks. And Jay could always injure himself to get a day off like he did for my wedding.
HH. You still upset about that? MBLB.
Of course I am. But I know it can't be easy for Jay. It's never easy for me when Uma's called away for a delivery on her ship. Though, now she's pregnant, that might need to be discussed, come to think about it. HH.
That would be a good idea, Harry. Like you've said, she's a godling, so it's not like you've got the 9 months that a mortal would. Last thing you want is for the baby to be born on her ship. How long has she been doing the trade routes between the kingdoms? 3 years? 4? MBLB.
That seems about right. Honestly, this is going to sound strange, but it's hard to think of a time when she wasn't.
HH. What? Being on a ship? I know what you mean. Uma's not Uma unless she's standing on a deck. Smiling face.
MBLB. Ain't that the truth, Mally? The ocean's a part of her. So is sailing. Smiley face.
HH. Who were you texting so intently? Macaria asked. Harry. Just telling the new papa congrats, Mal said.
Uma chuckled. Tell him I say hi, and that the baby doesn't need a dagger as soon as they're born.
Why am I not surprised? Mal said with a chuckle. Everyone here says congrats, by the way. Also, your wife said to inform you to not buy your infant a dagger as soon as they're born.
MBLB. What kind of pirate doesn't have a dagger with them? Besides, you didn't blink when Harry gave Clara and Hallie swords. HH.
Take it up with your wife. Also, she says hi.
MBLB. Tell her I say hi back. And that she needs to tell me if she needs anything. I was 2 when CJ was born. I don't know the first thing about raising a kid, Mally.
HH. I know, Harry, and I will. Look, Harry, you don't have to worry about that. You helped raise Haddie after all. And if there's one thing I know you'll do, it's love your kid no matter what. There's no such thing as a perfect parent. But as long as you raise them to make the right choices, according to Mum, then you can't mess up.
MBLB. You're right. You lucked out, Mally. You got your dad and your mum most of your life. When Harriet, Sammy, Claudine and I got Smee off the Isle, I stopped to talk to the captain about, well, his stellar lack of parenting, and I told him that I wouldn't be nervous about fatherhood, because I had your father as an example of how to be a father. But I'm still nervous, Mal. What if I turn out like the captain? What if I drive my kid to hate me? HH.
I know I did, but... Wait a minute, you talked to Herc and didn't tell... Okay. We can discuss that later. And you know Uma and Jay will be part of that conversation too. Maybe when Uma's not pregnant. Harry, you're not going to turn out like Hook. I promise. For one, you'll have Uma right there with you. And 2, you're a better person than Hook is for miles.
MBLB. First off, yeah, I talked to him, Mally. My therapist, you know the one Ben had all of us VKs go to? HH.
Yeah, how'd you end up with one of the only good ones?
MBLB. I don't know, HH.
Fair enough.
MBLB. Anyway, he said the captain forcing Harriet to become my and CJ's mum hurt her, and I wasn't going to have anyone hurt my sisters. And I thought the captain would never turn out like he did. And remember how much you and Uma and Jay had to bandage me up when we were kids? How... I don't want that happening to my kid. HH.
And it won't, Harry. Do you really think that for 1 minute Uma would let that happen? That Jay would? That I would let that happen? Not to mention you. You know what it's like to be hurt by a parent. And you'd get your hand cut off before you did that to your own kid. I guarantee that.
MBLB. Of course I would, Mally. I'd die before I let anything happen to that kid. I haven't even met them yet, and I can tell you that. But I'm still worried, you know? I don't know what made the captain snap when I was 4. And I don't know if I'll snap the same way. I know Uma, you and Jay won't let anything happen to my kid, but how can I trust it won't when I don't know how to keep it from happening? HH.
Mal sighed softly and looked over at Uma. You need to talk to your husband, she thought.
Is everything okay? Uma thought back. Is something wrong? Did something happen?
Nothing's wrong physically. He's got some first-time papa jitters. Ben had them too, though Adam and Dad helped him out, according to Haddie.
Did Jeb record that?
You know he did.
Think he'll accept payment for that video?
I think you've gotten us off the subject.
Right. Is he... Mel, is he regretting the guppy?
No! Whatever else you think, Uma, do not let that thought come into your head for a second.
Then what's going on, Mal? You're texting with Harry, looking all concerned.
Mal sighed softly and quickly texted Harry. Talk to your wife now! MBLB. She then handed the phone to Uma, who proceeded to start texting with Harry. That was a lot more entertaining than it looked, Elle said as Uma went over to a corner to continue the text. Yeah, sorry, Mal sighed. Apparently you can take the boy off the aisle, but you can't take the years of worry that come with living on the aisle out of the boy. Macaria smiled lightly. Hey, I get it. Remember, I live with Gil, so I think I get it as much as an Auradon curl can get it. When I was pregnant, he always tried to make sure I had the most food. I think, for a moment, he forgot that we were in Auradon, and that there would always be enough food for all of us, because I get text from Evie's that he was working, asking if he'd eaten that day. Oh, Gil. Mal sighed and shook her head. Unfortunately, that might be guilt from not being able to do more to protect his sisters while they were on the Isle. He lived with them when he wasn't on the ship, and it honestly did him a world of good. If he'd lived with Gaston, he probably would have just become a clone of his brothers. He has brothers? He never talks about them. Yeah, older twin brothers, Gaston and Gaston. Gaston named his twin sons. It's Gaston. What about this surprises you? True. Mal chuckled. You know, there are days where I wonder if the Gaston twins will make it off the Isle, or if Lachlan, their sister, will. She was with Freddie's gang back in the day. One of Gil's sisters, I think it was Gia, mentioned that she thought about Lachlan possibly coming to Auradon, Macaria said. Then again, when I asked what came to her mind when she did, she said, never, not in a million years. Absolutely not. No way, Jose, no chance, Lance, niet, negatory, nuh-uh. And of course, my personal favourite, man falling off a cliff. No! I didn't ask again after that. If it was Gia, that makes sense. Lachlan was older than her by a year, and there was pretty much a rivalry there. Mal shook her head. Gil was in the middle, unfortunately, and I mean that literally. Even though Lachlan and Gil were the same age, Lachlan was still born before Gil. And I thought our family tree was complicated, Melody said, shaking her head. Please, there's no family tree as complicated as the family tree of the gods. Macaria chuckled. And that's the truth, Uma nodded as she rejoined the group. Solve Harry's papa jitters? Macaria asked. Uma shook her head. He agreed to up his therapy visits from once a month to twice a month, though, so that's something. Though I might have to ask Uncle Hades to talk to him anyway. He said he didn't want to stress me out while I'm pregnant. But between Mal and Harry, I've got my fill of family who are well prone to keeping things from me. When have I ever kept something from you? Natalie? Macaria, Elle and Uma said at the same time. Who? Melody tilted her head. Who's Natalie? A self-entitled pissant who thought she was the next coming of Leah. Mal said, a slight growl to her voice that faded as her baby kicked. Oh, sorry, pup. Guess you don't like to talk about Natalie, huh? Your guppy has good taste, Uma thought just as Hattie and Herky came rushing in. Macaria, I'm invoking the no judgment clause of our siblinghood, Herky said, panting heavily. My gods, what have you done? Also, that's not a word. See, that sounds like judgment. Melody shook her head. What did you two do? Who did you do it to? And why did you not include me? Uncle Zeus, smoke bombs. And because you said you really wanted a nice relaxing visit because Percy and Maddie had kept you up for the past 3 nights, and it was Phil's turn to be sleep deprived. Hattie told her, quickly plopping between Uma and Mal, and trying to give a look of innocence as if he'd been there the entire time. Mal snorted and handed Hattie a platter with their dad's chicken on it. I think you've corrupted Herky. Corrupted is such a judgy word. Good, because I'm judging you.
Mal!
Eat your chicken and I'll pretend you've always been here, Mal said, shaking her head.
Oh yeah, I'm pregnant by the way, so be careful where you swing your elbows,
Uma said.
The resulting spit take of chicken right into Zeus's face as he walked into the room, his beard already stained with blue and yellow and purple smoke, made the moment all the more priceless. I thought I buried the hatchet with Hades.
Zeus sighed. You did, Hades said.
Then why?
I got some shocking news.
Not the chicken, the smoke bombs.
Oh.
I was bored.
And that's probably the most terrifying sentence you'll ever hear.
Mal chuckled and reached over to ruffle Hattie's hair. Her chuckles drowned out by Hattie's squawk of annoyance.
End of chapter. Hi guys, hope you enjoyed that one. Nice chapter, that one. Also, Emma's pregnant!
Jeez, Harry, did not waste time there, did you, buddy? But also,
Hattie spitting the chicken into Zeus's face because, oh my god, that was perfect.
Then again, I am a bit of a big kid at heart. If you listen back to that, you can hear that I'm trying really hard not to laugh at that chapter.
Anyway, you guys know the drill. Like, comment and subscribe and hit that bell to get notified whenever I upload a new video. Have a good day, night, or whatever time zone you're in. Bye my guys, pals, and all my pals. I'll see you in another video. Take care.